Working on cars is incredibly rewarding most times, but there are those times that are really frustrating when things just don't go your way. This week, one of those things that is completely out of my control happened, and I'm going to tell you the story. The story dates back to last week, where I installed a short shifter trying to improve the shifting quality of this car. The short shifter helped immensely, but I wanted a little bit more. Since this car is 20 years old, most of the plastic bushings that came from the factory are likely gone or brittle. I hopped on DieselGeek.com and ordered myself replacement bushings for the entire shift assembly. I didn't know which ones were going to be out in my car, so I just ordered everything I possibly could. I highly recommend this website if you're going to do something similar. These parts are perfect. The first thing I wanted to install was the super slider. This bushing reduces slop in the side-to-side movement of the stick shift and connects to the short shifter that we installed last week. Consequently, we need to remove the airbox once more. We can take off the two clips in order to remove the piece we need. I took off the old bushing and put it side by side with the new one to show you the difference. The new part is slightly thicker, allowing for a lot less freedom in the shifting mechanism. This improves the side-to-side feel and removes a lot of the slop. After popping it back on, it was good to go in the car. This is a much tighter fit, consequently I needed to use pliers in order to get it to snap into place. After that, I simply put the pins on and I called it good for the super slider. To fit the rest of the bushings, I removed the center console. There are about 5 or 6 different electrical connections to the various buttons in the center console, so be sure to be careful when removing these.
Hot damn, a McDonald's gift card. Sick, I found a McDonald's gift card in my car. And a quarter? No way, dude. That's freaking sick. Boom. Simple. There we go, baby. That's a healthy sound. Check that out. That needs a deep clean.
This metal bracket holds the stick shift onto the car itself. Now that we have everything off the shift assembly, the first part I want to install is the first gear getter. The first step of that is to remove this bolt right here. After that, you can pop this off the assembly. I took off this little retaining spring. My bushing was super worn, so it popped right off. I knew this bushing was shot because it was harder to get into first gear than any other gear in the system. The replacement part pops into the bracket rather than onto the shift lever like the old one. The DieselGeek kit also comes with a screw you can use if yours is busted. My screw was just fine, so I decided to use the original hardware. At this point, I was stoked. I had successfully installed 2 of the 5 things I wanted to install that day in record time. Naturally, irony decided to show its ugly head right after this.
Update on the TT. I broke it. Well, to be honest, I don't think I broke it. I think the weather killed it.
For some context, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and it's really cold outside. It was 30 degrees Fahrenheit the day I installed this, and in fact it had snowed the day before. I thought it would be a good idea to reinstall the metal bracket that holds the gearbox to the car and cycle through the gears. After I reinstalled it, I went through the gears. First, second, third, crack. That instant I knew I broke something. I no longer had any gears. So, what actually happened? Every material expands when it's heated and contracts when it's cold. This is governed by a coefficient of thermal expansion, which measures the change in size per degree change in temperature, which is unique to each material. When a material expands or contracts, its properties change. Plastic, when it contracts, gets extremely brittle. As I was cycling the gears, I snapped the plastic end link off of my gear selection cable. I was super upset because I knew this wasn't a part that local parts stores would carry. I'd have to wait for ECS Tuning to ship it to me on Thanksgiving week. On top of that, I don't really know that this is the only thing broken. On the one hand, this sucks, and it's a prime example of the pitfalls of modifying your daily driver. On the other hand, it's a really good learning experience. Had this part not broken, I wouldn't have learned nearly as much about the gearbox system of this car. The big lesson I'm going to take away from this is, even when something goes wrong and it's entirely out of your control, you can still learn a lot from the situation going forward. The next time I do this on a project car, I'll be sure to make sure that I do it on a warmer day. Besides, it makes for a great story. This part should arrive later this week. Consequently, the next episode I intend to diagnose the problem, fix it, and continue with the installation of the rest of the bushings. If you like the video and want to see more, like and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.